Back in 2014, I was 23 years old and moving from Colorado to Oregon for a new job. I didn't have much money at the time, so instead of flying, I packed everything I could into my old Honda Civic and decided to make the drive in one stretch. It was supposed to take around 18 hours. I figured I could just blast music, drink energy drinks, and power through. But as night fell, I realized how wrong I was. Long stretches of highway with no towns, no lights, no gas stations. It felt like I was driving through an endless void. That's when I saw him. A man walking on the side of the road, thumb sticking out, trying to hitch a ride. Normally, I wouldn't have stopped. My parents drilled into me that hitchhikers are dangerous, but something about this guy made me hesitate. He looked exhausted, sweaty, and he was carrying nothing but a small backpack. It was the middle of the night in the middle of nowhere. I thought, what if he really needs help? So I pulled over. He climbed into the passenger seat, thanked me in a low, quiet voice, and introduced himself as Mark. He said he'd been walking for miles after his car broke down and just needed to get to the next town. At first, he seemed normal, quiet but polite. But the longer he sat there, the stranger I felt. He never took his eyes off me. Even when I tried to make small talk, asking where he was from, what he did, he gave these vague answers, never really saying much. About 30 minutes in, I noticed something that made my stomach knot. His backpack wasn't zipped all the way, and inside, I saw the handle of a large hunting knife. I tried to stay calm, telling myself it didn't mean anything. Maybe he used it for camping. Maybe I was being paranoid. But then he said something that froze me. You know, you really shouldn't pick up strangers. You never know what they're capable of. His tone wasn't joking. It was flat, serious. I laughed nervously, gripping the wheel tighter. Yeah, guess you're right. The next town wasn't for another 40 miles, and the silence in the car was suffocating. I kept glancing at the knife in his bag, wondering if I should pull over and make him get out, or just keep driving and pray nothing happened. Finally, I saw a gas station sign glowing in the distance. Relief washed over me. I told him I needed to stop for gas. He didn't respond, just stared at me, his face unreadable. When I pulled in, the station looked completely deserted. No attendant, just the pumps and a flickering overhead light. I parked and got out, my heart pounding, trying to think of a way to get rid of him. That's when I noticed something chilling. He hadn't moved. He was still sitting in the passenger seat, watching me. I pretended to start pumping gas, but really, I was planning to run into the station and lock the door behind me. Before I could, he finally got out of the car. But instead of walking toward the station, he leaned against the car and whispered, "You're lucky I like you." Then he turned and walked off into the darkness. I froze, staring after him. There were no other cars, no houses, nothing around for miles. I don't know where he went or how he disappeared so fast, but by the time I worked up the courage to look again, he was gone. I drove off without filling the tank, my hands shaking on the wheel. The weirdest part? When I got to the next actual town and checked my car, there was something carved into the side door. 3 words, deep and uneven, like scratched with a blade. "See you soon." I never saw him again, but to this day, every time I drive alone at night, I can't shake the feeling that Mark might be out there, waiting for another ride. Sometimes, when I glance into my rearview mirror at night, I swear I catch the outline of someone sitting in the back seat. By the time I blink, it's gone. The memory of his words plays over and over in my head. You never know what they're capable of. My hands still tighten on the wheel every time I remember that voice. I tell myself it was all in my imagination, that he was just some drifter messing with me. But deep down, I don't believe that. Because even now, years later, I still wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, eyes bloodshot, convinced that if I look outside, he'll be there. Sometimes I dream about that gas station, empty, silent, and waiting, like it's frozen in time, holding the moment he left me there. And every time I see a dark stretch of highway, I imagine him walking just ahead in the shadows, waiting for someone else to stop. Or worse, waiting for me to come back.